Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We are here showing off Access Football 20, and it's been a week. Let me tell you what. But I hope you guys are having a good one. This is kind of a. What we're gonna start this off is I'm going to pretty much play the video I just uploaded about 2 hours ago, and we're gonna kind of do our commentary over that because I didn't do it within the actual video because I was just showing off the gameplay itself. But how is it going, everyone? Over the week, we've done like little snippets of each little section within the game itself. So we took a look at just like the introduction, so like the new overlays, just how everything was looking. After that, we went into the franchise mode, jumped into a little bit of that, and just kind of showed you everything there. Then we did the draft experience, which is one of the biggest changes to the game this season. And then today, we just released our full gameplay video. This was probably my biggest problem all week. Now, one second. The reason why it's a huge problem this week is on Sunday or so, we tried live streaming pretty much this exact thing. Whatever reason it is, I haven't tried with just Access Football 19, but with the actual beta, I've been having issues with OBS when I go to actually start doing something within the game once a game has been loaded. Now, within the actual menus and the draft and all that stuff, that was all no problem. I uploaded those videos, they look good, they're fine. But when I actually started to play an actual game, that's when the frame rate started to drop within OBS itself. Now, when I was playing the game itself, nothing was wrong. It was perfect. So I spent so much time and effort trying to troubleshoot that. I thought maybe it was an internet issue because it was related to streaming. I didn't try just recording it. And then I started to kind of separate it and just isolate what it could have been. I tried a different game on Steam and it didn't have the same problem. So something specific to Access Football's beta this season is giving me issues recording it when I'm actually in a gameplay. So the way I recorded this is using the Xbox game bar. So that worked just fine. If this ends up being an issue through the actual game itself with my computer specifically, I can't say it for everyone else. But if it's my computer specifically, I'll probably get the Xbox version just so I can use my capture card and won't have that problem specifically. But we're going to head press play here. Now,
Developed today.
Let's turn off the sound here. We can have a little low here, just so I have something in the background here. Now I'm gonna kind of pause this, like kind of watch this like a coach would. So immediately off that, I probably should just load the Windows Media Player version of this so I can scroll through this a lot easier. But the players here are shifting, and you know what? I might do that. Actually, I can slow down the time too. Here we go. All right, so let's go halftime and let's back this up just a little bit. So this isn't frame rate issues you're watching. This is me slowing down the game itself. Again, I do want to thank Access for allowing me to show this off. This is a beta version of the game. I want to get that out there. So as you saw, the return blockers, they made a nice little movement turning towards their targets, which you didn't see that last year. It was just pretty much it just like warped around. So go ahead, back to normal speed. It stinks because the first game I had recorded for this specific thing was a close game with San Francisco. So this is week 2 of the season, and it was 7-2. And at the end of the game, I finally came back and won it like 10-7. And then I had like a Hail Mary at the end to add a little bit of salt into the wound. But here's a handoff here. Immediately off the bat, if you don't have someone in the backfield with you, so if you're not running like an I formation or a split back formation, it can be tough to run. And I'm playing on all-star difficulty here, which is the mode just under the hardest one. I found passing particularly to be pretty easy to figure out. You find a lot of open receivers for sure. And I mean, if you just get enough time here, which you can get plenty of time here, and they cut up pretty nicely. They don't have momentum shifting them towards the sidelines. And of course, you're not going to have like all the bells and whistles tied into it. And it's just a process. It really is. I mean, this game keeps getting better every season. So you kind of see the crumple there. So if you're noticing the physics aspect of it, like his legs are just buckling underneath him. I mean, that's one thing that can eventually be improved upon. I believe next season is when they're going to be planning on doing that. There's a lot of fine tuning within the franchise itself, making sure that this game looks good. And they've done some significant upgrades to the overlays themselves. I mean, the overlays look beautiful. These might be my favorite overlays in all sports games. I love the way the font looks. I love the way the scorecard looks. It looks good. Within this actual video, you're going to see a couple of issues about halftime-ish. So there are issues I'm definitely going to get in contact with the developers and point them out because they've been trying to squash these bugs before release. One of them was a repeat that they said was fixed, but I came across it again today when I recorded this. So that's the unfortunate side of it. But here is our first play on defense. Our first possession on defense, rather. Now, one thing I want to note that you don't know until after you pick your play, because someone mentioned this in one of the comments of the videos, or they were asking about it, and it's something I will go over at the end. We'll take some of the questions we got from the videos we did, and if you have any questions specifically, we'll definitely answer them here for the best of my knowledge. Again, I don't work for Axis or have any affiliation with them technically, so I'll answer them as a player and just, you know, what I think. So here we go. The thing is, and let me pause here so I can kind of explain what I was about to say. Right here, now if you're playing defense, it's hard to figure out a formation you want to use unless you know what the offensive scheme you're going up against. And last year, you would have right under here or right under here, somewhere around the scorecard, what personnel they're using. So if they're using like 3 receivers and tight end and a running back, or 4 receivers and a running back and no tight ends, you can know that. And you can adjust your defenses based off that. Now, what is nice to kind of counteract that, once you pick your play, right here is where that would actually show up. So you get a 4 receiver set with a running back in the backfield, which you can see based off of this. Now, you can change like camera angles and camera zooms and camera heights, so you can kind of get a better full view of their offense and everything like that. But here we go. The nice thing here, and I don't do it in this specific instance, I do it eventually, but if you shift the players, if you do like hot routes or anything, changing up your players, the game essentially pauses within the game itself. It doesn't show like a pause menu, but they won't snap the ball. So you will have time to adjust that, which is nice. Nick, what's going on? We'll be answering the questions after we go through this in a second regarding what you just asked. And now that you mention it. One second. I do want to write this down because you brought up something, and I saw your comment earlier on one of the videos, and I do want to actually bring that up. Because that's something I didn't even spot. All right, so rotate field every quarter. Possession. Keep ball. Score. Nick, have you been able to play the beta at all? And Eric, what's going on? What's up, son? And then the fumble spin. So you're going to see 2 bugs that I found about halftime-ish. Just before halftime, actually. So you can kind of see here, Rivers drops back, just stands there. Okay, good example here. Now, this is one thing I didn't like, and this is going to be a recurring occurrence that you might see throughout the stream, or if you watch this video already, you see a lot of open receivers drop the ball. And granted, he had people behind him, so you can maybe go off of that. But there are times when he's running like a drag route or a crossing route, and he is literally wide open, and it just drops. Now, that can happen in real life, but the amount of times it happened was a little past the point of realism. And you're going to see it here a lot. So here's another thing, is defensively, you can really cheese sacks. it can get to the point of, like, insanity, like, oh my god, like, if you kind of hold back, it's hard to actually rip off of a blocker, which I have not really been able to successfully do consistently, or at all, really. But if you kind of sit there and just wait for a hole to open up, which happens a lot, all you have to do is just right through, and usually have enough time to get to the quarterback. So obviously, working on some defensive adjustments, or excuse me, some like defensive, or I'm gonna go with defensive, like not buff. It's the other one, nerfs, O-line buffs maybe, because they're not picking up those blitzers very well. especially that. Like, especially when you have a single back, it is not very easy. There's a good cross around to Brickus. Good hook route there to the Hines. And again, it kind of crumples a little bit. It'd be nice to see that being adjusted, but that's another future kind of... That's just a quality of life thing right there. It doesn't affect gameplay at all. It can ruin immersion if that's something that might bother you right there, if you just see him kind of fall like that. But what I do like is it's very physics-based, and I'll get back to that in a second. The wind is very much a factor, by the way. Might be too much of a factor, because I think a 10-mile... And that's kind of crosswindish. I mean, it's not a direct north wind right there. That might have been influenced too much by that, personally. And so, yeah, going back to the physics, which was what I was talking about. The hits feel real. I love the physics-based tackling. Maximum is doing the same thing. Madden has been on the animated side, so, like, it kind of sucks you into an animation with the tackles. And something I do like, as well as we're talking about tackles, is... you feel like you're being rewarded and not punished for blowing up the backfield. So, like, that instance right there. There's another one where I specifically thought of saying that specifically. That I went to the backfield, found the running back, and he didn't, like, cheese his way out of the victory. Or cheese his way out of getting to it. Getting out of the situation. Now, interceptions is a problem I have for both independent football games right now. Obviously, I haven't played Maximum 20 yet, so I can't speak on that. But at least with 19... It was more egregious in 20, or excuse me, in Access, where if you became a defensive back, and that's why you rarely, if ever, see me play anything but a lineman or a linebacker in this specific example, because when you're playing as anyone that's going to catch the ball, you can't really catch and stride all that well. Now, the animation of watching like the computer do it is good. I love it. And the unfortunate side, though, is when you're trying to control them, as soon as you try to catch, you just dead stop. And usually it doesn't go well for you. So it's usually why I'll just always let the defense take care of the secondary for me. And Eric, yeah, we'll talk about that afterwards. Nick says he's been an Axe fan since the first Axis came out on PC. Has plenty of potential, just got to fix minor obvious things, and no, you haven't been able to play the beta. Well, we shouldn't be too far away from the game coming out proper, which is good. Just a few weeks.
Let's see what the call is on third down. Green 33. Ready?
It's kind of cool when you hear the announcers talk about the Green Bay Axemen. It sounds like they're saying X-Men. Nice route to the flat. Burkus, yes, he does get it. There's a similar play where I got stopped. All right, so this is where you're going to see the first bug as soon as I kick the field goal. This was the first thing I found when I started playing Axis beta this year. So I just scored a touchdown, which means I should kick the ball away, right? I have the ball again. No cutting, no editing. This just happened. So this was something that happened to me when I played the beta for the first time, actually, a couple weeks ago. Listed down as a fix, and they said they fixed it. It was triggered differently, and the CPU had the ball twice. And I believe this is about the time where the second thing happens, because I scramble, I believe. Okay, so it's the next play. That happens with my quarterback. Yep, right here. All right, so I'm about to fumble here, and it happens right here. Now watch. You're going to want to watch. Is my cursor being shown here? Perfect. Okay, so we're going to watch this guy right here. Watch what he does. Now, they've done a better job, so, like, you can already see him bending down, and I know it's kind of degraded quality because the Xbox Game Bar doesn't do good capture here, but as you can see, he's already kind of starting to bend down, so that was one of the quality of life things they did, was showing the realism of it and the I don't know the word, the immersion of it. So, like, before, the ball would just suck up to the player. Now he's actually bending down, making that movement towards the ball. Now, watch what he does once he tries doing this. Spin around, and he doesn't do anything with the ball. So the defense recovers it. Now, naturally, I mean, technically, Vancouver should have the ball to begin with. I shouldn't have had the ball, but it still happened. So that's something that needs to be looked at for sure. And a nice hit. I love the big hits in this game. Like, you can feel them. Like, there's been a couple times like, oh, what a big hit. That was awesome.
Out in front for now. 17.
No, Eric, I'm pretty sure they didn't change the rules.
Ray takes the kickoff. Tackle.
And a nice little hit there, too.
24.
If you're wrong.
Emma Adams down on the field. Emma,
If you guys are new to the channel, I appreciate you stopping by. You're watching the Access Football 20 beta gameplay in action. It's not me playing live. This was me playing earlier because OBS is giving some issues with this game specifically. Or at least the beta version of it specifically. So if you're new, get subscribed, like this video. Helps other people find it. And this will be available for viewing after the fact. And incomplete. So that was good. You had good defensive coverage there. They all swatted to him. And they took him down. Took the ball down, rather. And, ooh, that was a good pickup right there. It was a good block pickup. And I mentioned earlier that didn't really happen all that often. It happened there.
Bullet passes are so hard, Dave. That's when I knew I was done with the game. When I only had 1 or 2 of those per game left in the tank.
So it's hard for me to get off that block. I struggle. And
When I played, I'd always look
that part annoys me because I do like that offensive defensive line matchups.
mistake out of their mind.
I mean, I play both of those positions, so of course I'm a little biased towards it. Good pick up there. The center's waiting for someone to block, and Phillips gets about a 3 or 4 yard gain out of that.
Injured player down on the field.
GP in the house. What's going on, friendo? Yes, it does feel a little better this year. There's still some things that could be fixed, and there's a nice miss right there. Now, I got to rewatch this because I remember it happening live. And the reason I'm not going to say 100% this is the game doing it itself is because I do this in Madden all the time. I miss. But Hill's going for the sack here. And Rivers gets out of the way. So I'm going to go with that. So watch this again. Rivers scoots out of the way. So, I mean, at least he didn't, like, stand there. And he's not just being ghosted through. So he does make that effort to move. Rivers kind of goes up here.
He rifles one.
I mean, that doesn't look like a natural way to escape a sack. But, I mean, it could look prettier.
He rifles one.
But him tumbling down was awesome.
That's just beating the defense. They really can't even attack because they can't.
Eric, yeah, I mean, the only way you're going to get people to bring games to Stadia is letting them know that you want it on Stadia. I know that the team over at Access has been having issues with PlayStation and Nintendo when it comes to bringing this game there. Last year, they struggled. That's, okay, I'll continue that in a second. This is what I was talking about earlier when it came to controlling a defensive back and trying to intercept the ball. I think I become this guy right here. Yes. So there's no reason why this receiver covered by 4 guys is catching this ball. There's no reason. But he does.
He makes the catch in the end zone for a touchdown.
But yeah, I mean, they're still going to try getting onto PS4. That's a big deal for them because a lot of people have PlayStation. They want to play this game. They want to play Access last year, and Access worked their butts off trying to get it certified, and Sony kept coming back with issues with them, and they're like, you know what, this isn't worth it. We're going to work on a mobile game. We're going to work on Access 20, and we're going to focus on Steam and Xbox for sure this year. And if Sony ends up just loosening the leash up a little bit, maybe we'll be on there too.
Should focus on time of possession here. Keep the ball away from the other
It is.
team.
It is great to watch Access 20 finally. They will have one more final version of the beta out next week.
The offense
Eric thought I was playing this whole time. No. It's actually a gameplay video I just released a couple hours ago. And I didn't commentate over that one or show my face in that one. I just wanted the gameplay out there. And this live stream is specifically meant for this. Kind of talk it through. So I had plenty of time to throw it, and I still didn't do anything. That was my fault.
That will bring up third down.
Nick asked, do you think in the near future every team will have its own stadium, just like in real life? We could see that. I know they're working on more stadiums now.
Downfield. He can't make the catch.
Sometimes you have to have that gunslinger mentality.
GP loves the realistic hang time on the kickoffs.
On their toes. It didn't work out that
Here's some on the punt.
It will still let the D
Pope.
know that this QB isn't afraid to test them deep.
Yeah, I mean, hang time's good.
Give takes the kick. The kick saved.
I do like the wind matters. The wind does matter. It might almost matter too much.
Execute on this.
It can be tuned down a little bit, I think. I haven't really tested it to see if I can kick like 70-yard field goals with the wind yet, but against the wind, it pours you down.
River drops back.
Drop back.
He is sacked by
And a
number
nice sack.
37. That brings up a crucial third down. The third quarter.
So yeah, if you end up picking up Axis Football 20 this year, I am the quarterback for the Axemen, the Green Bay team you're watching. It was really cool, the simulation I did for the draft video. I picked Arizona as the team and found out the league MVP was me. I was like, all right. Before the game even started, I was like, you know what, A+ might be pushing it, but hey.
Sacked. Loss of
Maybe I should have been like, hey, my name is Brian at Party Ball.
for the X-Men. Pitches in
There's a nice pitch right here, and Hayes meets him at the line.
that will bring up third down.
Doesn't get some BS tackle breaking action there. He just gets hit, and then it happens. Falls down. 3rd and 21. I think it's Fox that does that thing with the graphic on the field. I like that. I really do. If there's one thing graphically I'd change, at least when it comes to like pre-snap, offensively, I wish they had the icons when you're looking at your play art,
The punt's away.
or that they're color coded. I believe Maximum does color code it.
The 29.
And you're naturally going to compare the two games. They're both independently developed football games. They're in the simulation arena, both trying to get a piece of that pie. And I love that they have plays like end around on here. It didn't work out well in this play, and it's the only time I ran it. But it's nice seeing that you can have tight end handoffs just like that. I would like a better tight end for that, but this was really neat. So you got the tight end pulling here, full block, and the halfback going to block. They do a bad job here. I mean, guess they block, and this is what I should have done on not on YouTube, but I mean, the play is designed to come out here, and the tight end's going to be getting the ball right about here, so he should be able to beat these defenders coming in here. I mean, does the play scheme show them blocking here? Let me pull that back up. No, it doesn't. Oh, it does. It does. So on the end around, they should be going this way, but they go up. They fill the A and B gap, or the B and C gap, and he gets taken down. Granted, he shed a tackler there, or shed a block. Fourth quarter comes up. Now, when I eventually go to just play this game on my own, 5-minute quarters has never been long enough for me. I don't like it because, again, with the simulation aspect of it, I take more time and usually play like 10 to 12-minute quarters elsewhere. Same thing like 2K on NBA. I'll play about 10-minute quarters, I think it is. I usually get pretty realistic scores on there. NHL, I think I do about 10 minutes as well. As long as the stats come back realistic, that's all that matters. Because I want to go games like this where I have sub 200 yards in passing. That was a play I was referring to earlier where I just missed it. I love the uniforms that the Axemen have. I love the white helmets. Love the white helmets, man. I wouldn't mind the Packers having an alternate white helmet. That'd be sweet. Love the accents. It's beautiful.
That gets us to third down.
Oh. Nick, you actually brought up something I just remembered. I don't remember if I skipped over it and didn't even realize it, which I think I did. Should have wrote the timestamp down. Yeah, there is some AI logic with the running out of bounds and stuff like that. There's an issue I found where I had a player go to the sideline. I was on offense. He went out of bounds, came back in. Oh, here's another one, too. I'm glad kind of just talking here. Delay of game logic. He went to the sideline, touched out of bounds, came back in, and I threw it right to him. No penalty. So in real life, that's, I believe, ineligible receiver. I don't remember what the actual penalty name is, but you can't be the first person to touch the ball once you go out of bounds. So if like it's tipped off another receiver and you catch it, then I believe that is okay. But if you go out of bounds and you come back in and you're throwing the ball, that's illegal. Can't do that. In this game, I did that without a problem. Now, here's another thing. The delay of games, at least at the end of the game, I haven't tested this just elsewhere to see if like they always decline it, but they were declining this. And I the first time was on accident because I was doing something. But then I did a second time because I saw that they declined it, which if you decline a delay of game penalty as the clock is running, guess what happens? The clock keeps running. So if you're Vancouver, granted you have 3 timeouts, then this might have had something to do with it, and there's like, we give up. But I don't know. It's something I'm going to bring up to them. I'll find out like if it's that kind of logic. If it's like Vancouver's already given up at this point. They don't care. They want to decline it. They want the game over. But I would imagine that a team in real life would not decline the penalty. Especially when it's a 10-point game now. You're not going to win the game with no timeouts at this point, but you're going to see another delay game. You're going to see them decline the penalty again, which would run out the clock. So I don't get that. It is what it is.
The away team chooses to decline the penalty. Let's see how the penalty affects things.
And the commentary, yeah, it's really cool. If you're an NFL 2K fan, Dan Stevens from the NFL 2K series back on the Dreamcast. So Terry McGovern is his real name, and he was the fictional character Dan Stevens on NFL 2K. And the team over at Axis pegged him. I think last season might have been the first game with him on there. I don't remember, because Axis 19 was the first Axis game I had played. But it's really, really cool that I did that. And I can't remember the real names of the other 2 that help out. But that was the very first look at a full game in Axis Football 1992 or 20, I believe. I know there's been video game clips out there, or game clips from other people that have been able to share us on social medias and YouTubes and whatnot. So, yeah, this is just going to be kind of like a quick little stream. So if you guys have any quick questions about the game itself, I did want to go over all that like I just did. I don't know if some of you guys have played the beta yourself, if you found some things within the game that you've had issues with. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I like having more sports to play. And they're on the right track. And I was about to start clicking through menus and stuff, but this is just a YouTube video that I put up. So yeah, so we did have some questions I'll go through here on the YouTube comments from other videos. Excuse me. Junior was asking how the franchise mode is it deeper or the same as the customization better? We're going to have 2 customization questions because Nick, who was here in the chat with us, he had a customization question as well. Now, the franchise mode looks more streamlined. The big change to it is the draft aspect of it. Now, you got all the scouting and stuff like that. So it's deeper in that sense for sure. A customization, I can't tell you about the player or team editors because that's still locked under the beta. So I haven't been able to access it. But the uniforms you can access, and that is literally the same thing so far. And I wish there was more abilities to mess with that. I would like to be able to change the helmets if I want to literally make the X-Men the Packers without modding the game, which on Xbox you can't do. I want to be able to do that. So hopefully that answers you and Nick's question right there. Moving on up. GP was asking if every player wears a visor. Now, this is something I can't really tell just because you never really get a close look at the players. I mean, you could possibly make that assumption. But I'll be honest, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It kind of looks like it. But that might just be an asset thing where it's a lot easier to load a black visor than all these different player models, where the player models you only see when you look at the pictures itself. So I mean, yeah. Again, I can't edit the players either, so I won't be able to tell you from that aspect either. Like if one player has it, does this player have it? Now, within the franchise mode, coaches have something called badges. Now, these badges, we don't need no stinking badges. They add abilities to the team. So like a defensive coach, if your team's doing well, especially defensively, your defensive coordinator will have a badge attached to him, and it will say +1 awareness for all defensive players. And that is something that the question was, are they added dynamically? And the question is yes, or the answer is yes. So when I was simming through a franchise the other day when we were doing the draft experience, it popped up like on week 4 or 5 that a coach has now obtained a badge. So yes, that is dynamically added. And something else that's dynamically added, and this was a thing I brought up in my review last season, is, and it looks like just what you're watching right now, it's fine, but the crowd was pretty close to like half empty when I was playing it. And James, one of the members behind Access, he had commented in the video saying, no, the crowds are dynamic. So that's so cool that your crowds will be dependent on how your team's doing. So if your team's like a 2-9 team, you're probably not gonna have a great crowd there. Now, if they're a 9-2 team, you probably will have a good crowd there. This is the beta. I don't think that's going to be affected here. We're not even playing where Green Bay would normally play. And yeah, it's just another way to add to that immersion of it, which is really nice. And then Access Simulation League was asking if we could do a franchise series on the channel. And we might do that. If I'm having these recording issues, I'm not even going to take the time to do it because it just won't be worth going through the hassle of using the Xbox Game Bar and everything like that. When I'd rather be kind of looking at you like I am right now, like actually on camera, recording commentary while I'm playing the game, which OBS is what I use for that, but we'll figure it out if it works out that way. And Nick was asking if there's an option where you can turn off the acceleration clock. You can mess with the acceleration clock settings. Yes. I'll be honest, I haven't messed with it too much to really know for sure. I know you can adjust it, and I'm pretty sure you could adjust it last season too. But I've always liked the accelerated clock because it doesn't like make me sit there for like the true amount of time I have it set for. So I like it. And plus it kind of deals with the immersion, so I don't want to have to sit there for 30 seconds to like let the game clock roll down if I want to like kill the clock and stuff like that. And Nick was also asking, will there be a future Access game where they use both sides of the field instead of glitching using the same side of the field? Now, I wouldn't call this necessarily glitch, but I didn't notice. It's one of those things I didn't notice until someone brought it up. And so if you're looking here, the logo remains like this, and it says Green Bay here like that. Now, once the quarter concludes, if you're... Hold on, Vancouver side of the ball. Yes, okay. So before we get to that quarter conclusion, watch Vancouver go. They made a touchdown. Now I have the ball. Now, this is the weird part. So right now, the field orientation is still the same. All right?
17-7.
This is what he's talking about. The orientation of the field once you have the ball. Now, when you get the ball here at this point, the field orientation, you know, goes along with it. It's consistent. There's continuity to it. Now, however, as you can see, it flipped. Now that I actually have the ball truthfully, or what's the word I'm looking for? Now that you have the ball in earnest, is that the word I'm looking for? The field changes. So the field is back to the way they had it. Now, if it maintained what it should be, I should technically be down here starting, not down here. So yeah, this, I don't know if it's technically a glitch. It's just something that might have been an oversight. It's something I definitely I'll bring up, see if it's something they are aware of. Field orientation. All right. So jump through the chat real quick. If you guys have any other questions, we'll be wrapping this thing up here very shortly. Like I said, it wasn't going to be that long, but we're just going to kind of go through everything, ask any questions you have, and then we'll move on to the rest of our night. Nick was saying that it is called ineligible player when it comes to going out of bounds, coming back and catching the ball. Yeah, penalty logic, yes. Especially offsides. Like I got plenty of offsides calls, and I was like, where? Like you didn't see any players jump there, all just standing there. And I get like that might be an extra thing you have to code into the game itself, like having a player jump. Because as far as I know, you can't even do a fake snap count. Like if I want to do a hard count and try to jump the defensive line, I can't do that. But I got offsides penalties for players I wasn't aware that it happened, and it happened. Holding usually gets called as soon as the play starts, so that might be just a coding thing. Like I wish it wouldn't be so immediate. Like it's kind of spoiling what it is. If there's no flag before the snap, but as soon as I snap the ball, there is a flag, I know it's gonna be a holding call. So that's don't throw an interception, just run it out of bounds, pretty much. Junior's in the chat. What's going on? Film Flap was asking about PS4 availability this season. They do. GP, excuse me, answer that, and I did answer that earlier. They're going to try eventually, possibly, but I know it's like 4 different scenarios right there, but right now is no. They're focused on Steam and Xbox because those are the 2 platforms they're able to get on last year, no problem. Nick was saying, work more on the commentary, add more lines and comedic feel to the commentary, like sarcastic remarks and Easter egg references. What kind of references would you like to see? I like the Axis Baseball one they dropped. Like, when I heard that last season, I was like, oh, what? What? Yes, that's awesome. But yeah, I know when I started the game, like, I heard, like, the same, like, intro a couple times. The same one mentioning, like, oh, the players have already, or not the players, the fans have already had a couple, and, you know, they have the letters painted on their chest and are on the wrong order. So if the game is bad, at least we got that for entertainment or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that isn't going to be focused on too much because that would require a lot more booth time, stuff like that, especially during what's going on right now. You can't really, I don't know how they did it, if they just had Terry McGovern and his partner send in lines and that's how they did it, or if they actually got them both in a booth together. They also have a sideline reporter, which is really cool. It's another way to immerse yourself into a simulation title like this. She's back from last year, so it's the same 3. Yeah, I mean, commentary is a really cool touch. I was not expecting when I first played it. I especially wasn't expecting to hear the same voice I heard as a child. It was really cool that he actually spoke my last name. So he has definitely read a lot of last names. It's possible that they're still sending in new lines. Yeah, I was surprised to hear my name actually being uttered. And both of them done it too, so it was really cool. So, I mean, it's really kind of cool, like, hearing that as, you know, you're listening to an announcer as a kid when you're playing NFL 2K for hours and hours, and then 20 years later, you're playing a football game, you are in the game itself, and that announcer is announcing your name. It's really cool. Film Flap, dang, really want to buy it this year. They made some really good improvements on franchise, and the draft looks great. The draft is great. The draft is really, really cool. I love what they did with it. And I think it's probably their biggest investment of time this year. Like, last year, it was literally you were looking at a list, and you're looking at what you drafted and who else drafted, and that's it. Now, this one, they add, like, a TV-style presentation to it, and you have, here's where you can improve, here's the best available players, and here's where you're at right now. Here's what you did last season when it came to your rankings. It's been really, it's really good. The draft's awesome. And I know a lot of people are going to just love that aspect of the game itself. GP loves the coach mode. I've never jumped into the coach mode personally, so I can't even speak on that. When we do a full review on the game, I'll definitely jump into the coach mode. Spectate mode, I probably won't do anything outside of just showing off the camera angle of it. He's also asking if there's games in the rain and snow. It would be cool to see their breath if it's cold. There are games in the rain and snow. I don't think they show their breath, though, if I remember right. I don't think they do. But yeah, you can change the weather as well. I was trying to figure out stuff with my computer to see what is actually going on, why OBS was having a struggle recording gameplay of it. It's weird because I have 2 monitors here. If I have OBS open and it's capturing the game itself, if I'm clicked out of the game, technically, it'll record the game as, 60 frames, no problem. But if I start clicking into the game window itself, that's when it starts dropping. I don't know. I don't know if it's my computer personally, or if anyone has a hold of the beta, they can test OBS out itself and see if they're having the same issues. I don't know. But yeah, unless you guys have any other questions, I think that will do it for this. Again, I just wanted to kind of go over the gameplay we put up earlier. If you want a look at the gameplay again in full, or any other videos we did this week, in the link or in the description of this video specifically, you can actually click on each link there too. So before we go, GP was asking if the jerseys get muddy. No, the jerseys look pretty much the same the entire time. And Nick was referencing when it came to Easter eggs. Like football Easter eggs, sarcastic remarks, football references, football jokes, all that, just give it a more realistic feel. Yeah. I mean, of course, that would come down to scripting and how they are actually done. So I don't know if the announcers were able to just kind of riff-raff, or if the Axis team kind of gave them a list of things to talk about. But yeah, GP, little things. The game does look great. They're adding new stuff every year, and I think they're more focused on just kind of building up the playing aspect of it, and they're doing a good job of it. And everything else is just starting to come together. And so if you want to support this game, it should be, I think, $30 when it comes out in September is when they're looking at launching it. I remember Maximum and Axis, I believe, came out on the same day last year. I think it just worked out that way. Because I remember when I was reviewing the games, and I think I had access, not AXIS, but access, the ability to obtain maximum just before access came out. So, but again, I'm interested in this game and what it will be able to do. Again, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to get subscribed, like this video, as it does help other people find this channel just like you did. And until next time, I want to thank you guys. Have a safe one, have a great night, and we'll catch you down the road. Party on.